Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Tech Jobs Fair Netherlands. We are here with Marisa Monteiro Borsboom from the Chamber of Commerce Netherlands, Portugal. How are you, Marisa?
Well, good afternoon, all. Full of energy and really happy to be here with you, Rita, my fellow Portuguese in the group. So one cannot start better.
Yeah, thank you. We're happy to have you here. And so, just in short, Marisa is an entrepreneur and a lawyer since 2004. And in 2019, she founded the Chamber of Commerce Netherlands, Portugal. And she has been presiding over the organization until today. So, Marisa, would you like to talk about what you do, what it is, this Chamber of Commerce, and then go over to your topic, the European Human Capital Crisis?
Yes.
Is that good for you? Okay. You have a presentation, right? So feel free to put it on.
Let's see if it works. You know how technology is for us. When we want it to work, it doesn't.
Yeah, sometimes that's the case, but not now. It seems to be working.
I see immediately that the presentation is there, and I'm very happy because it is working. So Rita, if you allow me, I will try to give a little bit me in a nutshell, but then also have the time. I need to look to the clock so I don't go over time. So who am I? I am a Portuguese lawyer, so my start is completely different from where I am today. But since 2012, more or less, I changed countries. I came to live in the Netherlands, where I'm based now, and I kept working in between. And nowadays, with the pandemic, unfortunately, many things become very normal. But back then, it was a period of adapting and understanding how could you work in two places at the same time. And I think also it was the real first time that I understood the importance of looking for jobs. Till that moment, I didn't. I had my own office, so I did a career path that didn't took me to finding jobs. And so with this change, I can empathize a lot with the struggles of finding a job when you need to restart your life, or in this case, for people that are just following a path of finding jobs is not easy. So when I was invited to speak at the fair, with the Chamber of Commerce being also part of this event, I thought, what could I talk about that is relevant? And because I participated recently in a work group focus on renewed EU approach for jobs and skills of the Center for European Policy Studies, the CEPS in Brussels, I thought that talking about the crisis on human capital and the shortage of European market is now facing could be important to bring today to the table. So that said, it's a little bit me in a nutshell, a little bit about the Chamber of Commerce before we go to the topic that brings me today. So the Chamber of Commerce is a nonprofit organization. It's a bilateral Chamber of Commerce, so focused in Portugal and the Netherlands, but also on their diasporas. So wherever the Portuguese-speaking language is spoken or the Dutch language, we are concerned about this broader market of the diasporas, also of these two countries, and of this northern region that is now considered European region of north of Portugal and Galicia in Spain, in the north of Spain. So we are still a young project, but very vibrant. And we are part of a network of chambers of commerce, of Portuguese chambers of commerce in the world that are present in more than 60 countries. And that also brings, of course, much more strength to the little ones to support themselves in this bigger bigger environment. So you can check a little bit of our presentation. We were the first Chamber of Commerce being launched fully digital. We tried to wait for the pandemic to go. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. So last year, we did launch the Chamber of Commerce totally digital. So for us, seeing that this job fair is also present in Portugal is even more important to us, because we understand the flow also of searching for jobs or companies that are in these two markets, but also, as I mentioned, in the Portuguese-speaking markets like Brazil, Cape Verde, also a very interesting approach that is being now developed in the digital sphere. So this is what we can also accommodate as organization. So feel free to come to us. The door is always open, and if we can help, we will. So focus areas of the Chamber of Commerce. Among others, for us, it was clear that human capital was very, very important, as I mentioned, because we know also that Portugal has a high-skilled human capital that has been working in many countries in Europe and in the world, but the Netherlands has been a focal point as well. So for us, it was clear that we needed to concentrate as well. So professional training, international recruitment, outsourcing of qualified resources, and reskill programs are actually in the core of our goals and activities. So what are we talking about when we talk about the crisis? So one can see that not only in the information and communication sector, but in many other sectors like construction or retail and accommodation, there's many headlines of problems that the market is facing regarding what it is to be able to obtain the proper people with the proper qualifications. And that's also, as I mentioned, the approach that was set in the work group that I mentioned. And the focus was, how could European Union go toward a resilient and sustainable post-pandemic recovery? So, of course, jobs and skills are the main core of economics. So we need to understand how can we move forward when also the landscape is changing, because there are many factors of the job shortage. It's not only because of the issues that traditionally are being spoken about, but we've seen different mindsets. The pandemic also showed us, for example, that people were not willing to go to other countries maybe as they would. And I can tell you based in experience that I saw people that were reconsider their whole life choices based in, for example, not being able to go so often to their countries. Some people try to find other ways to work. I give you an example. Many people try to work remotely. Unfortunately, the problem that they face is that many companies are not yet in aligned with trying to facilitate this type of contracts to their workers. And we saw also in the field situations that were quite bizarre of companies that they didn't even knew what a remote work condition was. So they would say, well, we will give you a different contract, or like really weird, to be nice, weird situations that happen. And it showed that there is a shift that is not properly addressed, sometimes also because of some kind of lack of preparation to deal with what the market needs and what the employees want. What are also the aims for the people that want to work? We saw kind of an exodus to the rural areas. I'm also part of a project called Rural Invest that is being supporting people that want to work in these rural areas, and they would be able to have a co-working space. They would be able to be doing works like in the communication and information sector. So that, in theory, is all possible. In practical terms, we are still some miles to go. But as we see that this situation was aggravated by the pandemic, we see now some kind of recovery. And for that, we need to understand the focus needs to be also, in my opinion, in the training and the reskilling projects. As an example, I participate with my colleague Eva Amaral in a project held 3 years ago already by a Dutch company that for some time, more than a week, got intensive trainer for programmers that were not able to be operating in the market anymore because their skills were not what the market was looking for. So the reskilling was very important for these people that sometimes with already an age that is not anymore in their 20s, some people in their 40s or 50s have some more difficulties to restart. So it's important to have this effort because they are highly qualified people. But as Mr. Jordan Peterson said lately, he knew how to operate properly Windows, and suddenly everything was changed and he felt that he could not operate anymore. And this is a silly, almost silly example, but to understand that what he says, that everything is changing too fast, it has an impact on people that are obtaining skills and understanding that sometimes the skills are not what they need anymore. So companies and governments need to be able to move also a little bit faster in order to support these needs. So the handful of solutions for this crisis is well known. So there's no novelty here. I think more than what we need to do, that we all know, is how can we do it. It's much more about the how than the what's. But still important to remember these points: attraction and retention of your talents. So companies need to understand a little bit better how the well-being of their employees are. We should focus seriously in allowing some of the workers, for example, to do work remotely. Why not? And potentially in hybrid situations, that also the communication with the office can be more effective, but that there's more freedom in where people can do their jobs. Investment in technology is not only investment in the hardware, but also investing in this understanding of what is happening, and also involve people on what sometimes the investment is going to be, all the people from the companies. The training, offering training. Trainings nowadays are very expensive, as we all know. So we need to find some compromise in order for people to continue to have an ongoing training. So they feel that they are updated to the needs but they feel like they have the capacity, also the economic capacity and time capacity, to be able to pursue this training. Diversification, being part of also a prolific group of women in tech global movement with more than 60,000 women, for me is clear that one of the key solutions is to bring women to the table, and by training some part of the population that was not so keen in, for example, going to the areas of science or technology for many reasons that we will not be able to cover here, but that are eager to enter now. And as for the reskilled workers, many of them also need, for the purpose of pursuing these careers, of sometimes more guidance and support. And those groups also for sure need a lot of flexibility. I will remind that many of the problems of maintaining a career for many of the women is also how they can balance between their family choices and their career choices when, for example, they chose maternity and how to deal with the children and their own personal lives and their careers. So for sure, this handful of solutions is what we all need to focus on. And I hope that I will be able to share with the ones who would wish some of this information related to this working group that will send this white paper that is elaborated to the European Commission in order to show what all these experts were able to bring to the table as what could we do in order to maintain a strong job market in Europe, where the companies have the manpower that they need in order to pursue their goals. So that for now is, I don't want to take all the time. I want to be able also to leave a few minutes in order to go to Q&A if there's questions. But feel free to connect on LinkedIn or via email. Feel free to check on Portlandia and what this institution can do for your companies. And that is for me for now, Rita.
Thank you. Thank you, Marisa. Obrigada. It has been quite informative in such a short time. We have a couple of minutes left for questions. People often ask us nowadays, we often work remote, right? If you have any tips on moving to the Netherlands, if someone from India, for example, is looking to find a job in the Netherlands, would you be able to advise on that?
Yes, but as just some tips already, completely for free. Make sure that you understand the conditions of the contract for sure. So have clear conditions of the contract and have clear conditions of housing. The Netherlands is known by being quite difficult in a housing department. Mm-hmm. So if it's in the main cities as Rotterdam or Amsterdam, things get more complicated. But there's other solutions. There's other areas of the Netherlands that are much easier, not so known, of course, and potentially by that not so attractive. But I would give that example as find proper accommodation, because it can be quite difficult to manage.
Indeed. That's a good one. Let me show one question on stage. So what strategy or process do you follow to train workforce? So would you in 1 minute be able to reply to this? So really cool.
The strategy and the process is ongoing training. It's in Portugal. I give you an example, and Rita knows very well this because she's Portuguese. What Portugal did, being a small nation, it was a few years ago we got this professional training mandatory training for companies. There was like the CAP. I became a trainer with CAP, and the companies had this mandatory, a few hours of training every year. And I think that in the sense of policy, that was a good step. Why? Because some companies were reluctant, but because it was mandatory, they need to. So also structures of ongoing training were developed. Professional trainers were trained, and that created a cycle that allowed proper ongoing training easier. So I think that is a kind of a module that could be seen by, even when it's not mandatory, that the companies had this as a priority inside their own walls.
Very good. Thank you very much, Marisa. We have to end our session now. Again, everybody, thank you for participating, for asking your questions, and enjoy the rest of the event. Bye-bye. Take care.
Bye-bye.